All right. Welcome back to the Chicago Shoot the Shit podcast. I'm Stephen Leitner, and I'm joined by Blake Grantham and Brad Leitner. All right, let's just get right into it with the Blackhawks. This is going to be a train wreck of a season. There's not really too much to hope for. We know they're going to be bad. I mean, 0-4, 0-3-1 to start the season. We had this feeling going into it. Their starting goaltenders were Delia and Subban. I don't think it was going to be that much different if Taves and Doc were healthy. But I think the only thing we can really look forward to as Hawks fans is the future. Hopefully, we could lose. I mean, as much as we can to get a high draft pick. Just look for the prospects and watch them develop this season. Is kind of the only reason to watch the Hawks, in my opinion.
Well, I know, like all of our games, we get up 5 goals in like each game.
Yeah, no, we've been a train wreck
That's
for sure.
Insane.
I think we are out of the first 3 games. It sounds like we've been outscored 15-5 in the first 3 games so far. So
yeah, and
go ahead.
Oh, you're saying you can't blame it all on the defense because there's not really a lot of goaltending. But I'm kind of worried about Adam Boqvist. He seems like he's regressed a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think about that, Brad, but from what I've seen and what I've heard, I'm worried because it looks like he's thinking too much out on the ice instead of actually playing.
I don't know how much I would say about regressed as much as just maybe maintained or stayed the same. If he's regressing at that standpoint, like, oh my goodness, that would be an absolute train. Like you said, it'd be a train wreck in that regard. He looks, yeah, you're right. He looks nervous. He doesn't look confident himself. He does not, as far as especially defensively, even offensively on the puck, he just doesn't look like he is. He doesn't look like a normal ready or NHL ready player quite yet. Of course, now what is he? 20 years old.
Yeah,
so
no,
he's got plenty of time to kind of really get his feet underneath him. And honestly, this is kind of the perfect time for him to do so. He can play top minutes. He can play with Duncan Keith and kind of grow and learn and make those mistakes. The problem is it looks like he doesn't want to try to make those mistakes. And honestly, he should be trying to make those mistakes because we're not going to be competing this year anyway. So he probably needs to just honestly reset his mindset. And I think they were talking about on the radio the other day about taking him off the main power play unit to like make him earn it back, just so he has to actually get it through his head that he needs to put forth the effort and work a little bit harder at playing a little bit of defense. And I think that's a great idea to push a player like that, especially in this time of his development.
Well, he's been a defensive liability for sure right now, and I know Stan Bowman hinted at this earlier in one of his press conferences or when he was meeting with the media that, just because a player gets demoted doesn't mean that it's, bad or like hurts their development. So I think maybe, I don't know when Rockford's getting started, but maybe when the AHL season gets underway, maybe he gets sent down because in that last game against Florida, he got sat, I think, during some point during the second period, and that seemed to kind of like, light a fire underneath his ass. So hopefully he can get it going. But leads me to my next point. I think Khrushchev looks pretty good. He's a mid-round pick in 2018, I think. We got him in the Ryan Hartman trade when we traded him. He looks quick out there, and he has like a little deceptive shot. I kind of like we need more depth players like him to come along, and I think he's kind of like a top 9 forward, potential like bottom 6 top forward. I've liked watching those guys and Ian Mitchell. I think that's like the only reason I want to watch the Hawks this season is watching Patrick Kane. Of course, he's going to be good as always, but just the development of the young players. I don't know if you've watched much of the games, Brad or Blake. I know like what you guys think of any of the young guys. I know they're going to be making mistakes, but if you guys have any thoughts on that.
I watched like the last period of the last game in overtime. But that's about it, really, to be honest.
Yeah, I caught the end of the first Tampa Bay game, I believe, last week. Obviously, it was basically already over at that point. But it's tough to say because they got off to a terrible start playing 2 games in a row against the defending Stanley Cup champions. So we know we're not going to be competing for Stanley Cup this year, and probably not in the next 2 seasons at least. So that's a rough start to get off on. But yeah, they played Florida. Okay, honestly, like the crazy part is they came out firing on all cylinders in the first period. Honestly, in every game they've played in this season so far, but they just fumble it. It seems like right after right after that first period, and everyone, the other team gets their legs underneath them, and all of a sudden the Blackhawks can't capitalize on any opportunity that they have in front of them, and all of a sudden the entire momentum of the game changes, and all of a sudden they can't get it back. And as we've known in the past, the last couple of years, especially with Jeremy Colleton, I don't know how you feel about Colleton, Steven, or Blake, but he doesn't really play a defensive-minded game in the way his system is designed. Honestly,
Here's the thing. There's no player. He does not have the personnel that Q had when he was coach. I'm not comparing him to Q whatsoever, but I don't think he deserves. We don't know. He's been in some really crazy circumstances so far since he's been a head coach, and I know it's not an excuse, but and he also doesn't have the player personnel at all. I don't know if you can judge his defensive system if you just don't have defensemen that are good at defending.
No, I'd say that's fair, but I mean, he took right over for Q, and he's definitely allowed the most high quality chances basically in the NHL for the last 3 seasons. So,
like I said, there's nothing on defense though. That's part of personnel.
But I don't know if Barry Trotz has ever had done that. You're talking about
think of the teams
for coaches.
Well, that doesn't make any sense because he's been on Nashville. They had Shea Weber, Ryan Suter, Roman Yossi. For all these years, they've always been stacked on defense. When he went to Washington, they've had workhorses on the back end, and now in New York, they've got some. That's probably the least talent he's worked with, and his system's working really well. Definitely.
Precisely.
But they still have nice, players that can, defend very well. And he's just a defensive-minded coach, even with his forwards. That's just his entire game.
Yeah.
And I can't ever see the Hawks transition to a game like the Islanders. They're the only team in the NHL that's really like that.
Oh, they really are. They have a system in place, and they follow to a T.
It's boring fucking hockey. Ryan Whitney, if you listen to he's like, fuck this team. It's so boring to watch. I fucking hate it. And he pisses off Islanders fans, but it's funny. I like the Islanders.
Yeah, me
I think they're pretty sweet. But I wouldn't want to watch that. I wouldn't want that to be my favorite team's style of play either. I'd be fucking bored. I want to see Kaner fucking dangle around the ice and do spinorama passes and go top shelf on the backhand.
I was just gonna say, how about that little top cheese the other night he had?
Nasty.
That was sick.
He might be the only player to ever score on that angle on a backhand as many times as he has. You don't see that often, and he does it just about every year.
But back to Colleton, I don't think that extension was really earned. Right. I guess you could say. I don't think he did nothing to earn it, but I don't think he did anything to not get an extension. I guess one thing. Going to Stan Bowman, he's wishy-washy with his time here. He was part of 3 Stanley Cups, and he's had definitely a lot of bad moves. But I think one thing that he does really well that's underrated is sign players from Europe. He's really good at that.
Yeah.
His track record is Artemi Panarin became a superstar in this league. I don't know why Artemi Panarin never got drafted. Nobody ever saw, took a flyer on him until we were interested in 2015 when we signed him. Dominic Cahoon on he's a top 9 player. He's not great, but it's a good depth piece for your team. And then recently with Dominic Kubalik, found this guy, 7th round draft pick, but was playing in Europe his entire career so far. He comes in and scores 30 goals for us. That's a huge find. We needed something like that, and we didn't have to give up much for him. And then now I don't know if you guys have watched Suter at all. P.S. Suter, he was one of the MVPs of the Swiss League last season. I don't know if in the first Florida game, he looks like he's really skilled. I like him on the same line as Kane. That's a lot of talent. There was a goal that was disallowed, but Suter did a backhand. He did a spinorama pass right to Kane, and it was a goal. I'm like, dude, this guy's got some sick talent. It'll be interesting. If we can keep on finding talent from Europe and adding that to our pipeline,
yeah,
that's pretty sweet. That's one part of Bowman's repertoire that I really like for him as GM. Besides all the other dumb moves that he's made.
I was gonna say that's the only good thing. I can't believe that. How in the honest to God's sake can you find European players like he's had on his track record, which has obviously been phenomenal. You just listed them off, but you can't find depth pieces for your team in the draft or something like that. I just don't understand that at all. I understand there's way more levels of hockey over here in North America versus Europe to sort through with the different divisions and leagues, but
That's just insane, in my opinion.
I want to see what happens with when Seattle when they come in and who goes there and shit. So
If we want to get rid of like, I think for the most part, like all of our core players are protected. I think Connor Murphy's probably going to end up being the one taken because
that's fine.
He's relatively young. I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
like whatever.
totally
He's
cool.
gone because like all of our young players are protected because they're ineligible, and then our core players are taken. I think the only way you can get Brent Seabrook taken is if you trade like a first round draft pick with it for them to take him.
Right.
Other than that, I don't see that taken, and I don't want to trade a first round draft pick right now because we're super awful. We're probably going to draft in the top 3, and it's going to be a defenseman if we're in the top 3. I've looked at a few mock drafts, and all of like the top 5 picks are pretty much defensive prospects.
Good.
There's this guy from Michigan. He's projected to be first overall. Owen Power. He's like 6'5", 215 pounds already. Great puck mover. I'm like, that'd be a fucking sweet addition to the team.
Hell yeah. That's what we need. Desperately.
So then to kind of piggyback off of continuing on this topic of the Hawks, I do think I have a good question for you guys. I mean, who would the most exciting part for me also is to watch is the goalie competition. I think this is actually kind of fun to watch. It's a shitty competition, but we got Lankinen that's going to be starting here pretty soon. And it's a 3-way battle, which is going to be exciting. So is the kid really going to show up and beat his competitors, or is it going to just kind of be wishy-washy and flopped around all year long? I think that'll be kind of interesting to watch to see if we can find a goalie for the future. So
I don't think any 3 of those guys are our goalie of the future.
Not a fan of Lankinen, huh?
I like Lankinen, but like, there's a reason why he hasn't made the NHL at this point. He's 25 years old. I know goalies can be late bloomers, and he had that good, like, world tournament or whatever it was for Finland.
Yeah, MVP.
Those international tournaments don't mean NHL success. It doesn't translate to NHL success. Bigger ice too. More opportunities to see the puck, I think, in that regard. But I don't think any of these. There's a reason why he wasn't starting on the opening day roster.
Right.
But I mean that's totally true and fair. I mean, once again, you said, what is he, 20? Is he 25 now?
Yeah, he's like 25, 26 years old. I think 25.
I remember being 20. Yeah, I think it was 24, but maybe he turned 25. Either way, like you said, goalies can be late bloomers. They are kind of like the strange breed, just in the position they play because they're goalies, but also just due to the fact of when they develop. Like, obviously, we had the anomaly in Corey Crawford, who didn't how old was he when he got his first NHL experience? He was in the farm system for how many years? 8, 9, 8? Well, no, I'm sorry.
I know he played like sparingly, like 1 or 2 games in the mid 2000s, but like nobody really knew
But no real solid experience.
He didn't get his first solid experience until 2011.
Yeah, 2011.
Is 25.
But you can't assume everybody's gonna be Corey Crawford.
No,
I think that's a little bit unrealistic in expectations. Corey Crawford's a top 4 goalie in Blackhawks history, in my opinion.
For sure.
Yeah,
and I hate Crawford, and I agree with that.
Okay,
he's so underrated. I think he has always been underrated.
In saying that, so they're talking about retiring his number going forward here. What do you boys think about the number 50 going up on the Wall of Fame there?
I don't think that will happen. I mean, I know
he's Taves and Kane before him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that really matters, like who goes first or whenever. Like, he's not going to be a Hall of Famer, but maybe he'll join the Blackhawks Ring of Honor. I mean,
he will for sure. Yeah.
I mean, he won 2 cups with us as our backstop, and I think he's overlooked because he was on a dynasty team. But the way that he played in playoffs, like in 2013, he was lights out. Like, I think he should have won the Conn Smythe. I think he got snubbed. Canner even said that when he won the Conn Smythe. Like, Crawford should have won. He has been an absolute beast this entire playoffs. I mean, he's got like 200 and he's got like I think he's 3rd all time in Blackhawks wins behind Esposito and Hall, if I'm correct. So, I mean, he has an opportunity to get his number retired. I mean, he won 2 Stanley Cups. That's more so than any of those other goalies can say. I mean, he's definitely meant a lot. I think he's first in Blackhawks playoff victories for a goalie. So the argument's there that he can get his jersey retired for sure.
Yeah, it's Esposito, Hall, and Crawford.
Yep.
Then Belfour.
I was going to say Belfour had to be right behind Crawford.
Yep.
What do you think about Mackenzie Entwistle? It'd be kind of exciting to see him get a chance maybe this season as well too, to see what he turns out to be. I kind of like the way he plays the game.
I don't know if he's on the practice or the taxi squad or if he's playing in juniors at all this season. I don't know if he'll be up. Is he on the taxi squad?
It does look like him and Johnson got reassigned to the taxi squad. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I mean, the more young players we can bring in, the better. Get them experience. We're not going to be competitive this season anyway, unlike what Bowman said. But no, I guess we're in total youth movement now. Like, I guess, like, I can't, like, realistically, as Hawks fans, we've been spoiled. We've witnessed 3 Stanley Cups. Some people are going to go back and be like, why did you trade those first round picks? But it's like, going back, we'd want them to trade those first round picks because we wanted to compete for the Stanley Cup every season.
Exactly.
I mean, I'll take 3 Stanley Cups all day. I mean, we're bad now, but I guess like the only thing you can hope for is the future, and I'm excited to see what talent we can bring in. I mean, hopefully we can get lucky in the draft and get another generational player like a Kane and Taves. We got Doc. That's a generational player in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a sick player.
Yep.
And this year we're going to be drafting pretty high as well. So I don't know if we draft like our next top 10 or not, our next number 1 defenseman. I can't see Adam Boquist becoming that, and I don't think we have that player on our team at this point.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how Kirby Dach's career kind of pans out here in the next few years. I'm not sure if I can consider him a generational type talent, if I'm being honest with you.
I don't know. He's got
but
so much skill. I think he's the best player in that draft so far. I mean, Jack Hughes is playing really well at the beginning of the season, but I don't know. He's got the size. He reminds me of Ryan Getzlaff. Like he's very skilled, but he plays a heavy game because he's a big guy. I can see like he's gonna be our top center once Jonathan Taves is kind of wearing down a little bit. I think he'll take over that role for sure.
But
he looks like he's gonna be
generational talent. You consider Getzy a generational talent?
He was the face of a franchise.
Face of a franchise, superstar, like really good player, Stanley Cup winner, captain of the team. That's what I mean, like not like a Connor McDavid, because that's like I guess the version of generational I'm saying is I think he's a superstar. I'll put it that.
Okay. All right. I got him listed as a star. I don't know if I got him at superstar level, but we'll see how that path kind of trajects over the next few years.
Dude, from what I saw in the bubble, man, and all the work, he's working with Patrick Kane's trainer now, Ian Mack. Like, he's learning from Kaner and Taves. Like, and he's like a skilled player too. Like, I know a lot of other young players learn from him, but like, this guy's like not afraid to not pass it to Patrick Kane. Every other young player on the team, like, I feel like in years past, they're like, oh, I got to get the puck and force it to Patrick Kane.
Right.
Meanwhile, Kirby's confident enough in his game to where he's skilled enough to where he can take the puck on his own. And I think like that's definitely like appreciated in Kaner's aspect where he's not getting force-fed the puck. Right. And I think that'll definitely make him more dynamic. He's very skilled. I mean, do you guys see that play where he fucking did the spin like last year? He was going up through the neutral zone and he put it through the guy's feet and he did a spin around him and he just kept it like going in motion. I'm like, dude, the dude's got filthy skill.
Yeah. He's talented.
No, he's got great skills. I'm not disregarding any of those skills or anything like that. I do think he's put on some weight. He's starting to put some muscle on. Like he's definitely got skills. I just don't know if he's going to be. He's not your like superstar level caliber type player of Patrick Kane, Nathan McKinnon, Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl kind of talent. He's more of going to be
20 years old.
I know. It's just saying. We'll see. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. What are you trying?
I don't have anything else for the Hawks really.
Me neither. There's not much really to say.
At this point in time, unfortunately,
tank time.
It is tank time. We'll see what happens next season in the draft, but holy smokes, that's all I have to say. I mean, hey, I guess the only other thing we have excited about is Alex DeBrincat scoring goals again, right? Because man, did that guy have a shit year last year.
I figured that was going to happen. He had a really low shooting percentage, like really low, like compared to his career average. I don't know. he wasn't getting the bounces last season, and like when you're not scoring goals, you're definitely not like you're gripping your stick tighter because like you're like, why the hell am I not getting these goals?
Right.
Like I usually get these.
Forcing it.
The dude had so many like one timers that should have gone and that didn't, and I knew this season like I think he's going to be a lot better, and I mean let's see, I think he'll score 20 goals this year. I know it's like 56 games. I mean, there's not too much else firepower on this team, so
No.
the top line's going to have to produce.
He's looking like Steven and Jill, that's for sure, out there forcing it because he wasn't scoring any goals.
Okay.
Brad, I always score goals. What the hell are you talking about?
Oh, shit.
We'll have to get that on live performance one of these days. Huh? Just get a little live feed going for you. So
yeah, then everybody can see the bullshit that you're talking about. You're fucking garbage.
Oh,
Damn.
man. This is great. All right. Well, in other
to anybody in our audience, Brad likes to say he's really good at cello, but he's not. He talks a big game, but he's garbage. I definitely hold the all-time record against you, Brad.
I'm just gonna lay this down,
freaks
man.
out because he's like, it's not realistic.
Well, we'll see who wins next time we play again. I believe we
I'll
split
be right
last time,
outside.
but that's okay.
I'll whip your ass in. It's okay.